Hello there, fellow summoners. Mad Dog HT here, and making a new little series of videos. This is going to showcase a particular node for an entire season, and this is node 4 on path 1. This is where they get the regen buff and they become unblockable. And this one has stubborn, and Nightcrawler is a defensive champion, so he can trigger that ability. And I think this is a pretty decent placement for Nightcrawler because he can be really annoying with the node. And I decided to counter this with Doom. And besides getting hit there, my plan was to just parry heavy, apply the staggers, and when the regen would come up, it would just immediately get nullified. So, and yeah, even on that, the evade buff, it gets nullified. So I just kept parry heavy, go to town. It's easy, clean. You don't have to worry about his evade mechanic. Yeah, getting with an L3, going to. I didn't even go into the cycle that you would normally go through after an L3. Just keep those stackers on, and pretty simple fight. So that went cleaner than I had originally expected. But yeah, so moving on, the next one is Angela. Now Angela is an interesting spot here. You got the arc overload and the vigorous assault that gets the unblockable when a regen buff is up, and Angela does get frequent regen buffs just by her natural ability as you take away her health. So I think it's an interesting spot. Again, I'm going in with Doom, and the plan is to try to stagger the regens, which I'm doing, but I'm not getting a stagger on because I'm hitting her so hard that the regen from her regular ability keeps chewing it up. So I do have 3 out of 5 Mystic Dispersion, and here I'm gonna finish her off with an L3, I think. And if I don't, I can come back and just smack her a few times. But I think Doom is an excellent option to mitigate the unblockable part of this node. I don't use him all season, but these first few wars, I had him available because he wasn't in AQ. I usually use him in AQ sometimes. But here is a Magik. Now, Magik can be a pain in the butt, but the ultimate Magik killer is Human Torch. So this first fight, I boosted up to go through this line, and yeah, this is with Flow, so she can have the extra power gain, which means she can get to L1, L2 easier and get the limbo going. So my plan here is just to kind of wait out the regen, just kind of play it really safe, and then try to stack on the incinerates as much as possible, and hopefully not get too many crits, and do a lot of blocking because I'll build up the smolder on Human Torch, which will make his incinerates even more potent. And here doing a quick little intercept, and all of those incinerates that I already had on plus those reverse the healing and really finished her off. So that was a lot quicker than I had originally anticipated. And so the next war, there was another Magik on there, and I'm pretty sure this one is also Flow. And so this one I don't boost up. I'm like, well, last war was pretty quick, pretty simple. Let's do it again. Now again, my Human Torch is a 6-star rank 3, so the damage output is quite good. So here again, I am just waiting out to be safe, that regen to fall off, and then take some block hits, build up. Yep, this is flow. Build up the smolder as much as I can. Keep that temperature high. And yeah, and my plan, I think, is to always try to get a lot of incinerates on once that regen comes back around. In this case, it was so fast, it didn't come back around. But if it does, then all those incinerates will reverse all the healing. Now on this one, this is against Sabretooth. Now it has to be an active regen buff for him to be unblockable. So his passive regen is not going to trigger the unblockable. Here I was just going to, again, try to wait out, and I just missed the dash back at the beginning, and I got hammered a few times, which was not good. But, you know, here I'm just going to go to town, do the medium, light, medium to apply a ton of incinerates, which will be reversing his passive regen. Get on a stun, and I think I was holding just so I don't have to evade out the L2, because L1's he's pretty happy at throwing the L1, and it's easy to evade. And so here I'm just applying the incinerates, and granted I don't have any temperature going on this right now. I'm just trying to get lots of incinerates going. I'll try to get a little bit temperature there, but just because he has that regen already going, the few incinerates that you can put on there is going to do some decent damage, and then get off another L2 to stun him, and he dies. So besides that start, it was a pretty decent fight. Here's another one with Dr. Voodoo. Is this flow? Nope, it's stubborn. And Dr. Voodoo, he's not a stubborn defender. But his regen at the beginning is quite long, and so in this one, I don't think I stall as much, just because it's a long fight. But I try to hit into his block and bait those heavies to find those openings, and then use the regen again to my advantage with the incinerates reversing a lot of that heal. Human Torch, he has the Petrify built into his incinerates, and then I have Max Despair on, so that's gonna reverse all that healing. So that fight went pretty smooth. One thing that you can do is if you dash back, you can hit into their block and do like a hard block on your exit to bait out those heavies and then get those openings. So here we have a Sentinel, rank 5 Sentinel. This is against Stubborn, like the global tactic. And this one was I think this is a pretty decent placement, particularly with Stubborn, just because you're going to be evading specials, and then he's going to build up his analysis, and there'll be more specials to evade, and when you evade them, you're going to trigger Stubborn. So I went in with Void. So Void is also a defender, and boom, I get smacked. So I initially had anticipated I'm going to go in, I'm going to do an intercept where you enter the fight with an immediate attack, and yeah, I just missed it totally, and that didn't help. So off went about 30% of my health. But now with Void, I do get the 2 Petrifies up, which is very good because it's gonna prevent Sentinel from healing back. And here I'm just going to try and stall out as much as possible and do some parries, block most of the specials, and just try to let the intimidating present debuffs do their work. So now he's at full analysis. Boom, he's got the regen, and I totally missed that, thinking I could probably parry, and he was unblockable. Getting kind of backed up in the corner, so trying to back out, and I totally this is a bad fight. Granted, I do make it through. A little spoiler alert, but yeah, at full analysis, doing different combos and whatnot, not really necessary. With trying to mitigate that anymore, but the one nice thing with Void is because he is also a defender, he gets those perfect block passive buffs, debuffs, or no buffs, when you block, when you parry block these defenders. So that's nice that I can mitigate some of the damage. And then when he's got that regen buff up, I just gotta evade all that, and I'm just trying to minimize the dexing, so that he keeps that indestructible off of him, so that the debuffs can do their work and put in their damage. And luckily he gets down. That wasn't clean, but he's down. I think it's a pretty decent placement though, for a Sentinel. Okay, so now we got a Ultron. Again, we got Stubborn. Looks like Stubborn is kind of becoming the meta for Alliance War, which I really don't mind it so much. There's a couple fights, particularly like the boss fight, where it becomes problematic, but for a lot of the other fights, it's not too bad. So here's Ultron, and again, I'm gonna go in with Torch this time, and wait out that regen from causing the unblockables. Just kind of wait it out, and then I'm gonna try to get my temperature up with some heavies, and let those smolders do the work. And I'm gonna parry block all of his special L1s. So that I don't trigger the indestructible. Granted, unless he has the regen up, then I'm not going to do that. So kind of wait that out, and then just go back at it. Parry blocked that one, but I blocked it. I just we're trying to minimize as much uptime on that indestructible as possible, and boom, all those incinerates. Totally just nuke him at the end on his second regen phase. I was able to turn off that first regen phase with an L2 because it has that stun, so that was nice. Ultron, pretty. He's been in the game for so long. That fight just seems pretty easy, but I can see that being a pretty decent placement for him. Now this is the last war of the season, and we got a Guillotine 2099. We have Stubborn again, and here I'm boosting up for the whole line. And Guillotine, she's not the hardest to fight, but she's not super easy, and the fact that she has that miss where she goes invisible can kind of be annoying. So I'm going to try to do as many parry heavies as possible to knock that off, and it will help keep the temperature up. And here we go, we're just kind of slowly getting her down, and I think I get clipped here shortly. And there we got regen going, got some incinerate, so we're reversing a lot of it, and then yeah, right there, I just totally missed getting out of the way, and boom, that took 20% of my health because she hit me and she got me with one of those degen debuffs, so that was not nice. But here we're almost down. Keep knocking her down with heavies so that I don't have to deal with her going invisible and having to miss everything. And boom, incinerates kill her off when she triggers those last regens, so that was nice. So overall, this node 4, I can see it being a little bit tricky for certain fights, but generally it's one of those first nodes, and as long as you got a decent counter for it, pretty clean. I didn't die all season long on this node, so that was good. So that's it. This is Node 4, Season 19. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one.